Have you used ChatGPT? Of course you have. Have you tried to think of a use case where you want to use ChatGPT to build your own environment? Maybe a chatbot, maybe a simple agent. Maybe you have a use case where you think ChatGPT can come in handy, or you would want to build your own language, you know, solution using ChatGPT or GPT like models. How do you do it? LangChain is the answer for that. Let's find out what LangChain is in this video. So, we are at LangChain's website. Let's start by understanding what LangChain is. LangChain is a Python based framework which allows you and gives you the capability to develop your own application that are powered by language model. I think there's two fundamental tenets to it. One is that your application needs to be data aware, which means you want to connect a language model to the data that probably is in your ecosystem, which is to say is surrounded by other sources of data. So you don't want to use the language model as an offline source. Instead, you want to connect it to some other sources, make it more content aware, and make it more personalized for your use case. The second is agentic, right? You would want it to be able to interact with its environment. Maybe there's a use case which requires the data to be constantly updated, right? And you want the language model to be constantly aware about that. So that's what LangChain is. It's a Pythonic framework that's been designed and that's been developed to be able to build applications that are powered by language model. Let's go about looking at what are the capabilities. Now, in its essence, it's relatively simple. You can just we'll take a look at the quick start guide, but let's first take a look at modules, right? So LangChain has 6 to 7 core modules. The first one is models, which effectively implies what are the models supported by LangChain. And it also implies what integrations it supports. Maybe it supports ChatGPT or GPT like other interfaces. I think let's take a quick look into what are the different types of models LangChain typically supports. So there's LLMs, large language models, there's chat models, and then there's text based embedding. So chat models are the second type of models, and third is embeddings. So there's different types of models that you can fit it into language LangChain. The second is prompts, right? Prompts are the most important factor when you talk to a language model. When you talk to ChatGPT, you might want to act as a student, you might want to act as a content creator, you might want it to talk in a more personalized tone or a happy tone or an assertive tone. These are prompt management conversations. All of that is handled by prompts module, which is responsible for optimization, management of prompts, serialization, handling of prompts, etc. The third is memory, and memory is effectively the state. Now, this is where things start to get more technical. The first two are very intuitive to understand, but the rest of them are more technical and geared towards implementation. The memory refers to the state of data that is persisted between the calls of a chain/agent. Now, chain/agent has a good definition. We'll look in the future. Index, the next in the line, which is the fourth one, is index. Language models become really very powerful when you have some kind of application specific data, and when you contextualize the language model to be aware of the content you're feeding it, right? In order to do that, in order to a language model to be aware of what the ecosystem is, what are the integrations you have powered it through, indexes needs to be created. Now, whenever you work with external data, indexes come into picture. Now, chains are sequenced structured of calls. So it's basically when you interact with the system, there's some set of calls that can generated to a large language model or to an embedding or something like that. So it's basically what the user request converted into chains. Agent, interestingly, is a type of chain in which an LLM, given some sort of directions, knows how to repeatedly perform the same action, right? So you want to build an agent. For example, I want to have a simple chatbot which is aware of a certain type of news every single day, so that when my user queries it the next day, it is aware of the latest history. So every single day, I want to have the finance news fed to my chat model or the language model that I am using. Now it could be a GPT based model, it could be a non-GPT based model. There's tons of different ones out of the market. I talked about one of them, Dolly, which is from Databricks. Then Google has Bard, and so on and so forth. So that's what effectively an agent will do. So for my use case, I want to make an agent which takes in data daily, indexes it, and creates a chain that is, in a set way, a repetitive action. That's what an agent is. Callbacks are basically your logs and streams and all the data that you want to generate, that's generated as an intermediate or as a byproduct of the chain, and you want to observe them, you want to log them, you want to capture them in a certain form or the other. So those are the core I would say modules for LangChain. Let's take a look at what other things the website has. Let's look at some use cases. I think interestingly, there's autonomous agents, there's simulations, chatbot is there's personalized assistance, extraction of data, summarization, evaluation. Lots of different interesting use cases have been discussed here. So let's go quickly to a quick start guide and see what does it cover. So how do you install a LangChain? You install LangChain library. So you just install it by pip install, and you can install it using conda install. Now you will require integrations with one of more models. So I think you can just work with Open API, and you can have Open API set up, like export the key and make sure you set it in the environment variable. And then if you want to select it, so you can just specify that Open API key. You can technically work with other language chains. For example, Microsoft Azure has their own semantic capabilities which enable you to work with their own version or their own instance of Open API model. So you can plug in variety of different large language models. And so for example, here's how you can generate a prompt template. What's a good name for a product? So the product becomes the input variable that the person can give. So I could say that what is the good name for a company that makes biscuits, apples, bananas, I don't know. So what would happen is, if you would feed the prompt as colorful socks, and so you can get certain name for the company which makes colorful socks. So you can now combine LLMs and prompts as a multi-step workflow, which is what chain is. And you can do dynamic call chain based on user input, which is what agents are typically. And then you can go about talking about different state management by looking at memory. The library is very well documented, by the way. You can have chat models. You can just follow through this and you will be able to create your own. You can walk through what are some of the templates that you have, chains with chat models. So you can say that you're an helpful assistant that translates language to a certain language. In this case, the two prompts are input language and output language, and the language model has to do that. And you can handle state management using the memory module. Where's that? I think this is the one. So LangChain.memory in conversational buffer memory. So this will enable you to have some sort of a buffered memory. So yeah, that's what LangChain is in an essence, in a quick summarized conversation. And that's what I wanted to talk about from a LangChain perspective. So as you guys just saw, we can make some amazing applications using LangChain that are powered by GPT-like capabilities. If you have liked the video, do subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.